Laver moved into the outright lead for the women. Sharp was the first home for the under-16 men, closely followed by Nayar, then Murray. Laven took out the under-16 women's title. For the under-18s, Hobbs was next to take gold, then Doncaster's Abby Caldwell for silver. Lily Peacock rounded out the under-18 podium for Yarra Rangers. Under-16 silver to Tarlan Faledia Bendigo and bronze to Collingwood's Simone Maladay. For the under-14 men and women, it was a 2-kilometre dash. Out early, Frankston's Bailey Morrell led Diamond Valley's Kane Marriott. Williamstown's Lucinda Rourke out front for the women. Morrell was first for the men in 6 minutes 52. Marriott second, then Thomas Diamond of Box Hill third. Rourke was first for the women, 7 minutes 23. Williamstown Quinella with Jamie Lead Code. And almost a Seagull trifecta, but Madeline Laven of Yarra Rangers just pipping Monique Goldsworthy for third. Keep watching ASFIC TV for more athletic action.
Well, ladies and gentlemen, if you could please make your way to a seat. We'll very shortly be starting the annual general meeting. Please feel free to grab something to drink. So please grab something to drink and bring it back to your seat. So just one last reminder, if everyone could please make their way to a seat so that we can get underway. We do thank you very much for coming out on a Wednesday. Please grab something to drink. There will also be some food served after tonight's annual general meeting.
Okay, ladies and gentlemen, thank you for attending tonight's AGM opening at 7:01 p.m. Welcome to the Cathy Freeman Room for the annual general meeting of Athletics Victoria, and also welcome to those watching on Athvic TV. To commence, I acknowledge the traditional owners of the land on which we're meeting and pay my respects to their elders past and present, and the elders from...
Give it a tap.
Doesn't move much closer to me. If I drop out again, let me know. Thank you. And I pay my respects to the elders past and present and the elders from other communities who may be here today. To start, I'd just like to welcome all of the life members of AV and ask those present tonight to stand up.
Welcome to our life members.
Thank you very much. We do have some apologies from people, from our life members tonight, and those are included on the register. Are there any others from the floor? Thank you. Thank you. It's good to know.
Yep.
Lovely, thank you. I'd just like to briefly introduce the members of the AEV committee, and I'll just ask them all to stand. We've got Rowan Claffey, Vice President, Alison Robinson, Vice President, Jamie Strudley, Treasurer, Rod Griffin, who's an apology tonight, Ian Rickard, Manu Lewis, and Benjamin Bailey. So just like to thank the AV committee for all the work they've done over the past year. We do have a number of other apologies for this evening, which are also recorded on the register. Are there any others that people would like to provide from the floor? Lovely, thank you. And I'd also just like to take this opportunity to acknowledge and reflect on those members of the Athletics Victoria community who are no longer with us from the previous membership season. Thank you. So moving on to item 3, which is our election officer. I'm just going to give this a minute while Ross fixes this for us. Okay. So with the election of office bearers, as people would be aware, this year we have 7 nominations for 3 positions on the committee. 2 of these positions will be for 3 years and 1 will be for 2 years. Before I ask each of the nominees to stand, I'd just like to thank Rod Griffin for his commitment and service. Rod has served the maximum 9-year period on the committee. So I'll just... Okay, can people hear me now? Lovely. All right. So I will ask each of the nominees for the elections to stand, and just so people can see who they are And there'll be no speaking to anything tonight. I just want people to be able to put faces to names. So first up, I've got Raf Agostino from Diamond Valley. Thank you. Joshua Atwood from Eureka. Thank you. Rowan Claffey from Athletics Waverley. Samantha Colbert from Box Hill. Russell Harper from Glen Huntly. Grant McKenzie from Box Hill. And Rob Wendell from Diamond Valley is unfortunately an apology tonight as he's currently overseas. Thank you. You can all now be seated. Clubs are asked to complete the voting slips provided by voting 1 through to 7. These are being collected by our independent returning officer, George Primus, who will determine the outcome based on preferential voting until 3 candidates are confirmed. Okay, if people would like to vote, have we got a box to... Yep. And there's just a box over to our left. If people could, or my left, for people to deliver their voting slips. That, and we'll also fix the AV at the same time.
So for those delegates who have just arrived from VMA, there's plenty of seats down the front. So if anyone would like to take the opportunity to come and sit down the front.
Yeah, I've just worked that out. All right, it looks like most people have finished their voting. If everybody could resume their seats. Are there any outstanding votes to go in the box before they're taken to be counted? Lovely, thank you, George. So item 4, the minutes of the previous meeting have been emailed to all members and copies are available, have been available on request, upon registration of tonight's AGM. I'm satisfied that the minutes have been sufficiently circulated, and I ask members that attended the 2017 AGM if there are any issues or concerns with the minutes, and if not, I ask a member to move that the minutes of the 2017 AV AGM are a true and accurate record. And a second? Thanks. And do we have someone to second those? Thank you. All those in favour? Lovely. Thank you. Moving on to item 5. Last year we flagged the committee would be focusing on engaging with the membership to support a new strategic plan. It's now my pleasure to introduce Rowan Claffey to update the membership on its development.
Okay. Hello, everyone. Thanks for coming out tonight. Oh, to my mouth. Thank you. I stood at the lectern approximately 12 months ago and said a few things about the year that had been then, but also foreshadowed that in the next year, which we're talking about now, that we would reset the strategy for AV, and in particular take the opportunity and make a concerted effort to engage with and have a conversation with the membership around the future of the sport. In particular, the challenges that we all face together and the opportunities that we've got to grow into the future. So I'm just going to talk through a few slides and do it relatively quickly because I appreciate it's an AGM and we don't want to sit here all night. And actually this is a bit of an opportunity it's a bit of a thank you and a very brief report on where we got to. Obviously, as the new committee's formed up tonight, and AA is also doing some strategy work. The strategy will be framed by the new committee and published on the website, and all the details will follow from the consultation we've done. But over the last 12 months, we've had an amazingly successful consultation, I'd say, with the membership. We published in May. We published a discussion paper, so that went out to over 5,000 members, and many of you in the room will have read and engaged with that. And then followed up with face-to-face discussion groups, president's meeting, and a consultation here at Lakeside in this room, actually. And a membership survey. And actually, when you do that type of survey with a membership and you sit around as a committee and discuss doing that, you're always a bit anxious that, surveys often the response rate, that type of survey, often the response rate's less than 5%. What happened with this survey was amazing, frankly. We got more than 1,200 responses, which is, well over 20% of the membership responded and engaged. And I know that the reason that we got that level of engagement is largely down to many of the people in this room taking it seriously and taking it back to your clubs and really representing it as an opportunity for the membership to engage with the committee and AV management to make the sport better for all of us and future members in the future. So congratulations on that. That was a really good engagement, and the data that we've got from that will stand us in good stead for not just for the framing of this strategy, but for years to come as we execute that strategy and adjust. I'm going to flick on to the next one, please, mate. Okay. So what do we learn out of that engagement across those pieces that I mentioned in the previous slide? We learned, and again, these are just some themes that you could have, to some extent, you could have guessed this stuff, but now it's validated. We've had a conversation together as a group. Obviously, growth is key. So no one in the consultation said, look, we should just shrink down and make things as efficient and small as possible. We know we need to get increased participation and become bigger into the future. And really critically, we know that needs to be driven by our clubs. So new members come to our clubs. It's the club model and the club atmosphere that makes the sport attractive for new members. It's hard, but having said that, it's hard and getting harder to run a club. The world's changing. There are digital elements. It's a difficult job to run a club in the AV system. Demographics and competition from other sports matters. So I'll have a look at it. I'll show you a chart in a moment from the survey results, which bears some of the demographic stuff out. But obviously, competition from other sports matter, but also competition for people's time and attention more broadly, particularly young people, is a big issue for us into the future. How do we attract our fair share of the market, of participation out there in the future? But having said all that, the future's bright if we take advantage of the things that we're good at and we're sensible about targeting the right opportunities. So, we've got a tremendous history and a tremendous base on which to attract new members, but we need to be mindful of the different ways that people interact and participate in all parts of their lives from here on in. So just a couple of charts from the survey. This one's just bearing at that point around the roles and responsibility of clubs versus AV management. The one on the left is AV. Yep. Sorry, next Glenn. So that's the top line there is delivering competitions, and that just bears out the point that the membership, are quite clear that it's AV's role. I should expect that it's AV's role, broadly speaking, to deliver comps, and the clubs less so. And then at the bottom you can see delivering. So what's the? Hang on. Let me get my chart in front of me. Yeah. So attracting new members and also providing a positive and inclusive social experience. So there, what's interesting there is it's the same thing. So you'd see, as you expect, you see the inverse there, which is that that's largely the responsibility of the clubs, or that the membership sees that as something that the clubs drive. But there's also quite a bit of responsibility on AV there. So that bears out some of the points from the previous slide. Do you want to flick to the next one, Glenn? This is a really interesting slide. So this gets to the demographics point. So on the left, we asked the question, where do you see, and this is by age category, how do you see us attracting new members into the sport? Is it through AV events presented directly via a digital platform? That's kind of funny language for saying, okay, if you want to participate or you're interested in having a go at athletics, you go to the AV website and you see where an event is and you go there largely untouched by a club, at least initially. Is that the way we're going to grow our membership into the future? Or are we going to grow, the next one along, are we going to grow by partnering with the clubs and making the clubs stronger to do a better job of, be more enabled to attract members directly through the clubs? And the answer is actually both, or perhaps a version of both, but what that chart shows is that demographically, the younger people have more of an affinity with the left-hand idea, and older people have more of an affinity with not surprisingly, with the right-hand idea. No right or wrong, it just shows us that and the thing with demographics is as we need to attract more young people into the sport, we just need to understand that and work with it. What we resoundingly voted against was walking away in any way, shape or form from the strong club model that we've got on the right. So I think, people wouldn't be shocked by those results, but we've got real data now that we can work with and frame our strategy. So the next couple of slides, again, this probably should have a big draft written right through the middle of it because we're electing new members to the committee tonight, and as I mentioned at the top of the presentation, we, once the new committee is in place, it's our job to, take this as the bones of a new strategy, refine it, finalise it, approve it, and present it back to you, the membership. But broadly speaking, our goal is to grow, and to put a number on that, why not double our size in 5 years? If you break that down to compound growth, that's around 17-18% increase in membership per year. That's a big number, but it's not ridiculous. And to get there, very strong themes in the consultation sessions and in the survey data around the opportunity that schools represents, the importance of getting one sport pathways right, helping AV management playing a role, helping clubs to get better at being a more consistent entryway into the sport for new members. And then something around the digital future is whether it's products or, as I mentioned before, making it easier and more consistent for people to interact with AV if they're exploring joining the sport through the website effectively. And then while maintaining our non-negotiables, so obviously a strong club model, quality competition, valued and supported volunteers, whether they're coaches, officials, administrators, helpers, etc. I'll just put the footnote there that we, obviously this is, again, a big draft over the top of this, but hopefully that doesn't, that's fairly logical to people. And then underneath that, if that's a strategy, underneath that we've got potentially some operational objectives which fit into the strategy. Things like, as we've been talking about, again, this has a big draft across it as well. Some of these things have already started, having said that. Supporting clubs. So already there are initiatives in play through AV management to help clubs reach a more consistent standard and help them run effectively. But we need to continue to work on that. So making it easier for clubs to, and taking some of the load off clubs around things like generic email addresses, website templates, document storage, that type of thing, and even communications and promotions. So obviously if you run a marketing strategy at the AV management level, and then when people respond to that broad-based marketing strategy, they see an ad and they go to participate in athletics and they get a very different experience at different clubs, or an experience that isn't up to a certain standard at different clubs, that means our marketing strategy isn't going to work. So we need to do some work centrally to make sure together we can do that well. Growth, so again, this is an idea, thinking about whether we drive growth through the zone. We've already got the zone structure in place. Largely, we use it today to organise how the competitions work. Perhaps we can look at how we organise, how we grow and manage across clubs to do a better job of that, potentially even to the extent of staffing and resourcing at the zone level. One Sport, I'll ask Alison to speak to that in a moment. Obviously, it's important that we continue to work with AA on the coach's strategy. We continue to develop new products. It's very important, and Heather, I know it's near and dear to your heart around how the AV committee continues to move towards a more skills-based structure in the future whilst maintaining strong club. Obviously, it's a club representative model, but maintaining very strong club representation. But it's really important that the committee adheres to strong governance principles and is very skill-based. And there's some work in the athletes advocacy space as well. That's all I want to say about the strategy tonight. Obviously, we've done a lot of consultation, so it's not a Q&A session, but I just wanted to give you a very brief update on where it's all landed, and you can look forward to. And actually, one thing I will sort of say to put a line under it is that level of engagement that we've done out of the committee with the membership this year. I'd encourage future committees to do. That should be the norm rather than the exception. So we've gotten as a committee, we think we've gotten a lot out of that, and it's helped us a lot with how we're doing our jobs and how we think the strategy will fall out. So keep us honest. We want to do more of that in the future. And I'll hand over to Alison.
Thanks, Rowan. As you can hear, I am not in flash form tonight, so I'll be quick. And I do want to give you an update on the commitments that we made last year around One Sport. I'm really pleased to let you know that we've been meeting with Little Athletics Victoria and have formed an agreement over the last 12 months that a committee member from each board will actually play a role as a guest member. So in the case of Athletics Victoria, I've been selected as delegate to sit on the Little Athletics Victoria board, and the first of those meetings actually took place upstairs last night. I'm really pleased to say that was a very successful meeting. My sense from the conversation is that there's a very genuine willingness and desire for us to come together more closely as to governing bodies of our sport in the state to provide, firstly, a really great experience for athletes, but also to look at, how we work together and leverage the best of each other's movement really to strengthen the sport in the state. Sherry Bolter, who is Vice President of Little Athletics Victoria, will take up a role sitting across the AV board, AV committee, and that will start from our next meeting. Our next steps that we agreed was that following the AGM with Little Athletics on Sunday the 5th of August, we'll be having a joint meeting for the two boards so that we can really look through and work through how we do come more closely together and get some key actions that we can then bring out to you as members. So I think it's a really great step, and it's something I think that all of the committee are really committed to making sure that we follow through on that objective. Thanks. I'll hand back to you, Heather, and you can all rest from hearing my voice.
Thanks, Alison. I just wanted to pick up on that one point from Rowan in regards to the governance of the Committee of Athletics Victoria. All clubs would have seen the email from Glenn a couple of weeks ago about equal gender representation to maintain funding from state government. We were asked the question around how much funding Athletics Victoria receives from state government, and it's around $100,000 a year through Sport and Rec Victoria. So to maintain that funding into the future for various projects, when we put in grant applications, we'll be required to demonstrate equal gender representation from the middle of next year. As everyone knows, the current drafting of the Constitution makes it challenging when it comes to electing people to the committee around ensuring that we have that equal gender representation. So the committee has committed to looking at some reforms to help deliver that in 2019. We'll engage with the clubs on how that's done. There are various different ways to do it, but obviously the funding from state government is an important element, and we do also want to, so we do need to meet that gender representation requirement. But we certainly, and we've had a very passionate conversation about this as a committee, we don't expect it to be token representation. We're looking for genuine, enthusiastic people who have the right skills for the committee. So that's another piece of work the committee will be delivering over the coming 12 months, because obviously constitutional change requires changes that are voted on at an AGM. So I just wanted to flag that to people, that is something that is front and centre for the committee going forward. Next, it's my pleasure to introduce Jamie Strudley, who's the Treasurer of Athletics Victoria, for his report.
Thank you, Heather. Good evening, fellow members and guests. My name is Jamie Strudley. I'm the Treasurer for Athletics Victoria. It is again an honour to present the 2017-18 financial report to you on behalf of the committee. Excuse me, started already. 2017-18 represented a challenging year for Athletics Victoria, especially from a budgeting aspect, where a focus was on addressing the last 5+ years of stagnant membership growth, participation and satisfaction rates, and managing an increasing cost of business in Victoria. In 2017-18, the committee agreed and approved a budget deficit of $35,000 to support a second year of integration of the new membership platform we introduced in 2016-17. The budget was based on a target of 5% membership growth and a 5% reduction in competition costs. Final figures from 2017-18 will show competition costs reduced by $36,000, so close to target for 5%. However, our membership targets fell well short of expectations. At the end of 2017-18, of our 56 affiliated clubs, 27% generated membership growth over 10%. 13% of clubs showed a growth of between 1 and 10%. That's the good news. 5% had no change from 2016-17. 23% of our clubs showed a reduction in membership of between 1 and 10%, and a whopping 32% of our clubs showed a net loss of members of more than 10%. So our expectations for growth went the other way. The continued investment in competition structures and offerings and their subsequent costs required some sound fiscal management to ensure that finances remained at or near to budget throughout the year. Some of this investment was in improved IT infrastructure and to keep a commitment made to the membership to make all performances at all rounds of AV Shield ratified for championship qualification and record purposes. This cost enabled Athletics Victoria to produce quality events but put a significant strain on the budget for 2017-18. It is again pleasing to note that Athletics Victoria continues to set the benchmark for standards of event management and production in Australia and beyond. This expertise and recognition is perhaps something to leverage off in the future. The financial year for Athletics Victoria is from the 1st of April to the 31st of March. As at 31 March 2018, Athletics Victoria has cash reserves of $194,253, down from the 2017 balance of $220,246. Inventories, receivables and other current assets are also down on the 2017 totals, with the year-end total for all current assets being $398,846. Total liabilities are $322,675, including $155,053 of accounts payables. The other major liability is accrued leave totaling $161,900. Apologies for the boring numbers piece. A current ratio, which represents the ability to pay current debts from cash or easily converted assets, is currently at 1.48 times, which indicates there is no immediate cash flow risk to the organisation. This ratio compares favourably with the 2016-17 figure of 1.43 and the 2015-16 figure of 1.23. Total assets of Athletics Victoria reduced from $1.042 million to $829,000, which is a reflection of a decrease in the book value of assets owned by Athletics Victoria as a result of depreciation. A total debt ratio of 0.39 indicates that Athletics Victoria continues to maintain appropriate asset coverage for debts owed, which total $322,675. The committee is confident that the management of Athletics Victoria finances remains within generally accepted expectations. The accounts have been audited with no qualifications, issues or concerns. The committee would like to thank Glenn, Ross and Sharon for their diligence throughout the year to maintain accurate, well-governed accounting records. Total revenue generated by Athletics Victoria in 2017-18 was $1.996 million, a decrease from the 2016-17 total of $2.063 million and $89,000 below the budgeted revenue for 2017-18 of $2.085 million. This difference was made up of a range of differences between budget and actual figures, including a drop in membership and summer competition income. Much of this was offset by increased income from championship entries and school events. Total expenditure in 2017-18 was $2.043 million, up $72,000 on the 2016-17 total of $1.971 million, and slightly higher than budgeted total of $2.03 million. The majority of the difference from budgeted expectations is due to higher costs for school championships, which were offset by the increased revenue from school competition entries. Also, our continued investment in our officials and some unanticipated IT support costs. Other costs viewed as essential for the provisioning of the AV product, such as coaching, recruitment, training and retention and staff costs, were all as per budget. The AV management team are to be applauded for working with the committee to ensure expenses were well managed and remained closely matched to budget. Payroll and staff costs remain the largest cost centre for Athletics Victoria, in 2017-18 making up 52.4% of total revenue, an increase from the 2016-17 ratio of 46.8%. This percentage increase is due to a lower than budgeted revenue figure and the review of staff remuneration we flagged in the 2016-17 report was $27,000 over the budgeted figure for salary and wages. The committee continues to be very proud and extremely grateful for the effort and dedication of our AV team. The efforts ensure that Athletics Victoria continues to provide the best possible product for all our members while enhancing the profile of Athletics Victoria and athletics in Victoria. Our net result for 2017-18 was a loss of $117,624, a significant drop from the 2016 profit of $1,611, and a budgeted loss of $35,230. As mentioned previously, much of the loss can be attributed to less than expected membership income and summer event entry fees. It is essential that we as a collective membership continue to encourage growth in club memberships, increase our coach numbers and qualifications, retain and train new officials, improve event opportunities and experiences, support some bigger teams to national champs, and increase community and school awareness of the AV brand. The Treasurer's report from 2017-18 flagged the need to consider membership fee increases in the next 1 to 2 years. A small increase to fees was approved for the 2018-19 season, coupled with changes to event entry options and fees for dual athletes. Increasing costs dictate that the continuation of the services provided to Athletics Victoria members and the wider athletics and sports communities in Victoria will require additional income streams and or increases in membership income. The committee and management team continue to be committed to seeking out and realising new sources of income and either stall or minimise future fee increases. Athletics Victoria is a not-for-profit organisation. It is the intention and goal of the committee to continue to build and develop the Athletics Victoria brand and athletics in Victoria by reinvesting every dollar we earn back into the sport. Based on similar membership numbers as achieved in 2017-18, the committee expects the 2018-19 budget to generate a profit of $45,000. This projected figure is dependent on and will be influenced by the commitment of our clubs, members, management and committee to realise membership growth. There continues to be challenges in all community entities in Victoria, none more so than sporting organisations. Time, work, school and funds are ever harder to balance for individuals and families. The support and attention of our clubs to their communities, schools, past, present and future members and all other stakeholders in Victoria is essential. As many of you are aware, a significant amount of work has been done and continues to be done with the help of recent surveys, consultations and our various competition and zone committees to create a platform for all clubs in Victoria to achieve growth. This strategy will provide the basis for our budgeting and membership expectations and continue to place athletics at the forefront of sport in Victoria. So before I move a motion to adopt the 2017-18 financial report, I would like to invite any questions from the floor. Yeah, I mean, there's no doubt that cost as a whole is a challenge. We feel the need to balance it with the product and the service that we offer, and by reducing those services and products that we offer, we minimise the chance of increasing our growth. So to keep investing in those products and services requires staff, requires people on the floor. So that I don't think there's much of an opportunity to reduce that staff. That said, we're always, Glenn especially, is always reviewing his staff and the hours they work and the rates they paid and stuff. Anything else? Is that fair? Anything else? Chris?
Thanks for the question, Chris. So far in XCR, we haven't seen any major reason to suggest that the fees are going south. What we have done to supplement our income is we've reached out to the recreational running market, and as of today we have over 1,000 members, which we never had last year. And we're also working hard to have those 1,000 recreational running members move into clubland and convert them into full club membership. The challenge, just to provide a significant understanding, last year, and I mentioned this at the President's meeting in May, last year we had 440 athletes simply buy a membership and not buy a package. They just simply decided to compete in the state championships. That number went from 460 to 580, so 140 people, decided not to purchase a package, which impacted on the income from last year. Going forward, the challenge will be in summer competition, but I have to balance that against, now we have single event entry for Shield, which opens up a number of opportunities. We've launched with great success the Club Helper program, so we're incentivising clubs to deliver duty at the championship, where in previous championships where in previous years it was just part of the process. And then in the summer season we launched the officials incentive program in order to encourage our clubs to help us with recruiting officials. So at this stage, and we report monthly, I have trigger points with the board. So every month they receive a full report on numbers of packages. So far we've had our numbers are up. I'm discounting the dual category because at the budget approved last year, one of the comments from clubs was to remove costs for dual athletes for packages so that we could effect the transition more effectively. We've seen a significant growth in dual athletes registering in both the XCR package and the Max package, nearly 200% in one of the categories. Our juniors are slightly down by about 1 or 2, but our open Max packages are up. So far, to answer your question and taking probably 80 words as opposed to 10, Chris, we seem to be on track.
Current assets include our receivables, a small amount of inventory, so the uniforms and things, and cash on hand. Most of it is in cash on hand or in term deposits and savings accounts. Any other questions? Thank you. If there are no further questions, I'd like to move a motion that the 2017 Athletics Victoria Financial Report be accepted. Do I have a second? Winning year of athletics in 2018. Thank you.
Is it on? Thanks, Jamie. So moving on to the annual report, this item is to receive and adopt the annual report, which has been provided to members via email, along with access to the report on the AV website. The report is not only a record of our performance of the organisation, but a historical account of the business conducted over the past 12 months. The motion is to receive and adopt the annual report, which includes the financial statements already adopted. Can I have someone to move that? Thank you. And seconded? Thank you. The more interesting part of the night, awards nominations. Turned it off, yeah. This just says something about the detail that I've been given for our award nominees tonight, the fact I've had to put on my glasses to read it all. So apologies if this sounds long-winded, but there's some fantastic recipients tonight. So the Committee of Athletics Victoria convened an awards committee to review and recommend nominations for Life Membership, Merit, Regional and Venue Service Awards for 2017. The awards committee consisted of Maureen Austin, Paul Jeans, Peter Burke and Rod Griffin, and on behalf of everyone, I'd like to acknowledge and thank them for their efforts. The membership will be asked to confirm the nominations for both Life Members and Merits Awards, and once confirmed, these will be presented at the 2018 ZAPEC meeting in December or at a convenient time for the recipients. The following nominations have been made and accepted by the Committee of Athletics Victoria, and tonight we ask for confirmation from the membership of the following nominations. Neil Ryan. Are you here tonight, Neil? Thank you. Neil has been involved in athletics since 1962 when he was a 16-year-old and began running with the East Malvern Harriers. In 1964, Neil joined the Richmond Harriers and from 1967 was also an active member of the Victorian Marathon Club as both an athlete and a club administrator. A member of Richmond Harriers for 54 years, Neil's been involved with most areas of club activity as a competitive athlete, club record holder, club champion, athletics captain and leading coach, and has served on the committee as treasurer and public officer for the past 27 years. Neil has been a member of Athletics Victoria since 1962 and has served as the president and treasurer of the Victorian Marathon Club multiple times over his 20-year period on the committee, and is a trustee of the Fred Lester Distance Running Scholarship Fund. As a member of both the Richmond Harriers and the Victorian Marathon Club, Neil has been a significant clubman helping organise races, including many that the Richmond Harriers host, including the Burnley Half Marathon on behalf of Athletics Victoria. In 1976, Neil opened Runner's World in Melbourne, providing specialised athletics gear store covering a range of track and field footwear, and is renowned for his generous support of athletes through sponsorship, gift vouchers, discounts and advice. Neil generously and provides generosity and commitment to the sport, which continues through Runner's World and has sponsored countless events. A major partner of Athletics Victoria for 25 years, Runner's World provides significant sponsorship as the official bib partner, for which the Sport and Athletics Victoria is extremely grateful. As a competitor, Neil showed talent as a distance runner from an early age and went on to regularly place at the Australian and Victorian Marathon Championships in the 1960s, as well as placing in multiple international races over various distances, including placing second to Ron Clark in the 1968 Emil Zatopek 10K race, second in the 1969 Australian Marathon Championships in 2 hours 24 and 8 seconds, and setting a marathon personal best of 2:17.59 in 1974 in New Zealand. This is but a small example of Neil's achievement and career highlights provided in support of Neil's nomination. I'd also like to acknowledge Neil's wife Gail, who's here this evening. Not here? Yeah. The Committee of Athletics Victoria has endorsed the nomination of Neil for Life membership, and I'd ask the membership to show its acceptance by acclamation. Thank you, Neil. Moving on to our next Life membership nomination. It's for Khan Sharp. Oh, I'm high. I didn't look far enough back. Khan was first registered with Athletics Victoria in 1984 as an athlete with Old Melburnians and Monash University, eventually achieving his aim of qualifying for the National Championships in Hammer, only to discover the standard had been tightened. By 1989, he was registered as an official and had been actively involved in officiating and administration ever since interclub, state, national and international level. It became obvious very early from his involvement in athletics that Khan would make a significant contribution in athletics administration. In 1987, he was elected president of Old Melburnians. From 1989 to 1992, he was a track and field representative on the Australian University Games Committee. In 1991, he was elected to the AV Summer Competition Committee and served on this committee until 1989. From 2000 to 2014, Khan was chair of Athletics Victoria Championship Committee, and while on the committee was rolled back into the competition department, Khan continued to provide advice and guidance on conducting its events. His contribution in all these areas has been outstanding. Since 2001, Khan's taken on many major roles in national and international events in Australia, serving as competition director for many national championships and tour meets. He was appointed as the local organising committee chair for the IAAF Grand Prix track and field competition director for the 2002 World Masters game in Melbourne, and competition director for the athletics competition at the 2006 Melbourne Commonwealth Games, and also the 2018 Gold Coast Commonwealth Games. Khan was also a competition director for the Nitro Athletics in Melbourne and worked with the event director Glenn Turner on the competition format and delivery that saw a new benchmark for athletics events while maintaining the integrity of the competition. He has been both an AV Official of the Year and an AA Volunteer of the Year, and long-serving member of the Athletics Australia Track and Field Commission, in most recent years serving as chair. But perhaps the most outstanding example of Khan's service to the sport has been his voluntary commitment to the planning and delivery of the Lakeside Athletics Centre here in Melbourne. The quality of the facility at the new home of Victorian Athletics was due to Khan's persistence and attention to detail. The Committee of Athletics Victoria has endorsed the nomination of Khan Sharp for a life membership, and I'd ask the membership to show its acceptance by acclamation. Moving on to Merit Awards. The first nomination is for Phil Allen. Thank you. Phil's been a member of the Doncaster Athletics Club since 1992 and has held numerous positions, including team manager and records manager from 1995 to 2004, a committee member from 2000 to 2014, and treasurer from 2000 to 2008, and then again in 2012 to 2013. Phil has also been the technical advisor at the Tom Kelly Reserve when he was not officiating at AV or LA Vic meetings since the early 2000s. Phil's contribution to the sport was recognised in 1994 when he was made a life member of Doncaster Little Athletics, and then in 2009 a life member of the Doncaster Athletics Club. As an official, Phil's been on track and field officials at schools, clubs, Shield, XCR and all-state championships from 2000 to present, and was appointed to the team of officials for the 2006 and 2018 Commonwealth Games. The Committee of Athletics Victoria has endorsed the nomination of Phil Allen for a Merit Award, and I'd ask the membership to show its acceptance by acclamation. Is Alan Watson here? Oh, I'm not doing very well looking around and finding people tonight. Alan has also been nominated for a Merit Award. Alan is also a member of the Doncaster Athletics Club and joined in 2001 and joined the committee in 2002 before taking on the role of Records Manager from 2004 to 2014. During that period, Alan was also Vice President from 2007 to 2009, but would eventually move to a more technical role following Phil Allen to become the Technical Manager for the Tom Kelly Reserve in the mid-2000s. Alan played a pivotal role in hosting the 2001 National All-School Championships and continues to officiate across both AV and LAVIC events, including the role of Technical Manager at the State Masters Track and Field Championships from 2008 to 2011. Alan was made a life member of Doncaster Little Athletics in 2005 and a life member of Doncaster Athletics Club in 2013. An accredited Level 3 IAAF coach in all throws, Alan has been coaching athletes for over 15 years. The Committee of Athletics Victoria has endorsed the nomination of Alan Watson for a Merit Award, and I'd ask the membership to show its acceptance by acclamation. Our next Merit Award nominee is Terry Carter, who's unfortunately an apology tonight. Terry commenced competing with Oakley in the 70s, and it wasn't long before she was selected for Victoria, competing in her first National Junior Championship in 1974, where she took gold in the 200 metres in 24.4 and silver in the 112.2. In her first Junior Championships, Terry clearly impressed selectors and was be selected for her first Commonwealth Games in New Zealand in the as part of the 4x4 team that won silver. More international teams would follow, including the 1976 Olympic Games, the 1979 World Cup, the 1981 Pan-Pacific Games, along with the 81 World Cup and the 1982 Commonwealth Games in Brisbane, where Terry would finish fourth in the final of the 800 in 2:01.91. At the national level, Terry won national open titles and placed in the top three in the 400 or 800 over 5 consecutive years. And according to the current Australian rankings, Terry's PB of 2:00.56, which was set in Rome during the 1981 World Cup, is the 11th fastest on record. Once Terry finished competing, she turned her knowledge and experience to coaching and has mentored both Caulfield Grammar and Glen Huntly athletes for over 25 years. A current Level 4 coach, Terry has been appointed to the National Events Coach and National Under-20 Sprint and Middle Distance Coach and was part of the Under-19 Junior National Coaching Panel. Terry's also been a committee member of Athletics International since 1997, including 3 years as secretary and a member of the Victorian branch of the ATFCA for 15 years, including as a period as secretary. This year, Terry received an OAM in the 2018 Queen's Birthday Honours for her services to athletics. The Committee of Athletics Victoria has endorsed the nomination of Terry Carter for a Merit Award and would ask the membership to show its support by accepting. Thank you. I haven't told the committee this, but I'm actually going to ask a couple of them to come up and present some 50-year service awards, but I might let Alison stay where she is because nobody else needs to get what she's got. So I might start with Tamsin. Thank you, Tamsin. The Committee of Athletics Victoria is also pleased to confirm that we've had 6 nominations for this year for the 50-year service award, and I invite each recipient to come up and receive their award at the conclusion of the citation. Kevin Ensmore. Kevin joined Williamstown Athletics Club for the track season in 1968-69 and competed in the 1969 cross-country season. Kevin then began training at the Newport Oval as a hammer thrower, but also trialled out for the high jump, long jump, triple jump, pole vault, shot put and discus. As a teacher, Kevin also coached many of his students before transferring to Glen Huntly in 1975. In 1976, Kevin became a member of the then Committee of Management at Duncan Mackinnon. Further highlights of his athletic career include Glen Huntly Club Treasurer from 1977 to 1986, Vice President from 1986 to 1995, and was instrumental in the merger of both the women's and men's clubs, and has also been a VAAA delegate. Kevin has been registered continuously with Athletics Victoria since 1968 until the present day. Although he now resides in Bendigo, Kevin still travels to most AV XCR events each year to represent the club and has come down this evening from Bendigo. I'd ask Kevin to come up and collect his 50-year service award and ask the membership to please join me in congratulating Kevin. Our next nominee, or our next recipient, is Joseph Murphy, who's unfortunately an apology tonight. Joe, aged 12, joined the Footscray Harriers Club in 1967 and competed in both summer and winter events for Footscray, foregoing a promising football career. He won the Under-17s Victorian Schools Cross Country in 1972 and finished second in the Under-17 State 1500 metre Championships, which gained Joe state representation in the Shell East Coast Under-17 track meet in Sydney. Joe was also a member of the Under-19 Australian record 4x800 relay team in 1979. Joe first competed for Williamstown in 1977 at Griffith and Cowell before debuting for VAAA senior races at the the cross-country relays. He was also a prolific competitor, rarely missing an event for his club, and Joe still holds the 1500 metre record of 3 minutes 47.6. After training with the legendary Melbourne Pack, Joe transferred to Williamstown in the winter cross-country season of 1983, quickly fitting into the strong Division 1 team. He's been coached by Chris Wardlaw and he was been highly respected by his squad members. His best performance on the track was a silver medal at the State 5,000 metre Championships and a bronze medal in the 1986 Australian 5,000 Championship. Joe has also been instrumental in re-establishing the Melbourne Marathon as a premier road race on the Australian calendar. Joe continues to be regularly involved with the club in the lower divisions and has advanced through the 40 plus, 50 plus and now in the 60 plus club teams and is a very valued member and enjoys watching his son now compete. Unfortunately, Joe can't be here tonight and has asked that this presentation to take place at a later date, but I think we should congratulate Joe on his service. Our next nominee is Stephen Stern. Stephen here tonight? Oh, lovely. You'll be required to get in terms. Oh, yep. Go on, Ben. Stephen Stern joined Glen Huntly Athletics Club for the 1968-69 season at the age of 17 and is a continuously registered member of Athletics Victoria until the present day. His early competitions were on the track in Montone for Interclub in the summer season of 68, but for a number of years his performances were not indicative of the athlete he was to become. In 1975, Stephen won a bronze medal in the Victorian 1500 Championship in a time of 3:46.4. He travelled to Perth with the Victorian team and competed in the 1500. During the late 1970s, Stephen was working in Canberra for a number of years but continued to travel to Victoria to compete for his club. In addition to competing on the track, Stephen was also a regular in road and cross-country racing for the period of 1969 until 2007. From 2007 until 2015, while registering with Athletics Victoria each year, Stephen was curtailed in competing due to a reoccurring injury and work commitments. He began representing the club again in 2015. I would ask Stephen to come up and collect his 50-year service award, and I would ask members to please join me in congratulating him. Our next recipient is also an apology. Neville Gardner joined the Box Hill Athletics Club as a junior in October of 1960. In the 58 years since then, he's rarely missed a single round of interclub competition and has usually competed in multiple events, both all across throws, jumps, sprints and distances. It would be a difficult task to find another athlete who has competed in more club events or scored more points for their club than Neville. While competing for Box Hill, Neville continues to support Masters athletics, winning numerous medals over the years, including 2 medals in the 70 to 74 year age group at this year's Victorian Masters. Neville has made a huge contribution to the club, both on and off the track, consistently supporting fundraising and social efforts, many working bees, and contributing as a member of the Box Hill Committee for many years, including 5 years as treasurer from 1980 to 1985. Neville's other claim to fame is as a Spartan legend of the Melbourne Marathon, where he's competed in every Melbourne Marathon since its inception in 1978. Unfortunately, Neville can't be here tonight, but he's asked Chris O'Connor, President of Box Hill, to accept his award on his behalf. Our next nominee is also unable to be here tonight. Sandra Griffin was first registered in 1967 as part of the then VWAA and has represented a number of clubs including Ballarat Wendouree Women's AAC, Wendouree Women's, Sebastopol and finally Eureka, where she continues to compete today. A former Victorian sub-junior 100 metre and 200 metre champion, Sandra was an Australia Day medalist in the 1969 and 1974 Victorian Cross Country Championships. Sandra has also held a number of positions at the club, including Secretary and Club Captain of Ballarat Wendouree Women's, Vice President of Ballarat Women's Local Centre and a member of the Committee of Sebastopol. She's a current member of the Committee of Eureka. Sandra still competes and has been an accredited coach of Athletics Australia and with Athletics Victoria for 7 years. With 51 years of service in Victoria, we ask the membership acknowledge Sandra's contribution as a recipient of the 50-Year Service Award. And Sandra's presentation will be made at the Ballarat 15K. I'm not doing well for 50-year service award winners tonight being here. Again, our next nominee or our next recipient is unable to be here. Stephen Griffith has well and truly surpassed his 50-year threshold of service. Steve has been a member of Collingwood Harriers Athletics Club since joining in 1963 and without question has been a driving force of the club for over 55 years. According to the Collingwood website, when Steve joined in 1963, he'd organised a team from University High School to participate in the Schoolboys Cross Country Championship that was, at the time, run by the Collingwood Harriers. In Steve's second year at the club, he was proud to be part of the club's first junior premiership, when the under-17s won the Olympic Park group title before defeating Sandringham and Coburg in the association finals. The mostly unchanged team was able to repeat the feat in the following year. Steve continued to compete for the club in both summer and winter, with only a few breaks in the 80s. Steve has been a significant contributor to the club and has held nearly every role for the club, including as president for 18 years. Steve has also been a regular AV official, club helper and volunteer and steps in when needed to help the club. In addition, Steve has contributed many hours of coaching and has rarely missed a weeknight training schedule at the Collingwood track. Steve was awarded life membership of Collingwood in 1984 and was honoured with the Norm Francesco Medal in 2013 as an honour reserved for those life members who have continued to provide outstanding service to the club for the period of at least 20 years after the granting of a life membership status. I'd now ask the membership to join me in congratulating Steve for his service. The final award is for the Regional and Venue Service Award, which I'm pleased to confirm has been awarded to Jeff Marshman of Geelong. Jeff is unable to attend tonight, and I believe, Richard, you're collecting his award on his behalf? Thank you. Okay, so moving on to presentations after awards. As is tradition, presentations of pennants will be made for the 2017 winter season, and I'll ask members of the committee to come and make the presentations. We'll do them by a club. So first, APS United, Women's Division 4. Yeah. Athletics Essendon, Women's Division 5, if you'd like to come and collect your pennant. Yep. Athletics Nunawading, Men's Division 3. Ballarat Region, Women's 40 plus, Men's under 18 and Men's under 16. Bendigo Region, Men's Division 5, Men's Division 7. No one from Bendigo. Box Hill, Men's Premier Division, Men's Division 4 and Men's 50 plus. Collingwood Harriers, Men's under 14. Glen Huntley, Women's Premier Division, Men's 40 plus. Melbourne University, Women's under 20. Old Zavarians, Women Division 2. Richmond Harriers, Men's Division 6. Victorian Masters, Women Division 3. Western Athletics clearly had a successful season. Men's Division 2, Women's under 20, Women's under 18, Women's under 16. And finally, Williamstown, Women's under 14. So, under general business, there were no items of general business received. However, I've just received the outcome of the elections, and I'd like to thank all nominees and welcome the following committee members to the Committee of Athletics Victoria: Samantha Colbert, Rod Wendell and Rowan Claffey. In closing the meeting, I'd just like to thank you all again for your attendance this evening. As you all know, this is my final AGM, and I'd like to thank the committee members I've worked with over the past 7 years, in particular Ian Jones, the former president, for his support when I joined the committee. I'd also like to thank Glenn Turner and the entire AV staff for their support. You, along with all of our coaches, officials and volunteers, are the lifeblood of our sport, and you help ensure there's competition week in and week out for our athletes. I'd also like to do a special thanks to Craig and Andrea for the wonderful food tonight. They've done a great job the last couple of years, and tonight is no exception. I'm not closing the meeting, so...
Not just yet. So I just want to very quickly add, on behalf of the committee, the membership more broadly, and actually personally, Heather, a big thank you to you for your service as President of Athletics Victoria. And it has been... I mean, not everyone obviously gets to see how tough the job of being President is, and Heather has brought to that job very much a service mindset. It's, being President of Athletics Victoria is a great honour and a great privilege, and there is some status associated with it. Heather has no concern whatsoever with the status. She's just committed herself to the service of the sport and making it better for all of us. So thank you, Heather. It's been a pleasure to serve with you, and all the best in the future. Thanks. Now you can close the meeting.
Thank you. That was very unexpected and very lovely, and thank you to everyone. On a final process point for everyone, I'd now ask the Committee of Athletics Victoria at the end of the meeting to move to the boardroom on level 1 for a very short meeting so you can elect your new office bearers before returning to join everyone for some supper and refreshments. And at 8:11, I declare the AGM now closed, and thank you.